Hello everyone, let us read about today a very familiar topic in the pediatric department, that is APGAR score. Now, we have heard so many times about APGAR score. Now, let us study what does APGAR score actually mean. APGAR score is actually an objective method and it is used for evaluating the newborn's condition. So we have to understand that APGAR score is only used to evaluate a newborn's condition. Now, when do we use APGAR score? We use APGAR score at 1 minute after birth, and after that we repeat APGAR score after 5 minutes of birth. We have to understand one thing that APGAR score is not used to guide resuscitation. And why do we say that APGAR score is not used to guide resuscitation? Is that APGAR score is actually performed at 1 minute after birth. But if a child needs resuscitation, it has to be started immediately after birth. So APGAR score is not used to guide resuscitation, but it is just used to evaluate a newborn's condition. And after that, we will see that the serial scoring of the APGAR score, basically it helps us to understand that how well the neonate is responding to the resuscitation efforts that we are making for the child. Now, we have to understand that APGAR score stands for AP. It spells as APGAR. APGAR. Okay, what does A stands for? A stands for appearance, P stands for pulse, G stands for grimace, A stands for activity, R stands for respiratory efforts. Now, how do we assess a newborn's appearance? A newborn's appearance is assessed by the color of a newborn. That how does a child look to us at 1 minute after birth and at 5 minutes after birth. If the child, whether the child is looking pink or blue, whether the child is looking pink or blue, we see the appearance of the child by that. Then we see the pulse of the child. How is the pulse of the child? And how do we assess that? We assess that by studying the heart rate of the child. Whether the heart rate of a child is more than 100 or below 100 or absent heart rate. Then we study about the grimace. How do we study about the grimace? In grimace, we actually study about the reflex irritability of a child. And when I say reflex irritability of a child, I mean when we stimulate a child such as, think of like gentle pinch to a newborn. When we are stimulating a child with that pinch, how does a child responds to that pinch? We will see that. We will see and assess that in reflex irritability, that whether the child is responding and having a strong cry towards the pain of the pinch, or whether the child is just making a fussy face and fussy expression towards the stimulus that you have given to the child, or the child has just is showing no response to the stimulation. Then when we study about activity, how do we assess it? We assess it by the muscle tone of a child. Now, in the muscle tone of a child, we see whether the child is having active movements, or whether the child is having some kind of flexion, or whether the child is totally flaccid and is just showing no movements. And to assess the respiratory efforts, we will see the breathing of a child, whether the child's breathing is absent or slow or irregular breathing or gasping, or a good strong cry and a good breathing efforts. To do that, we will now when doing the APGAR score, we will see that we have a scoring system in APGAR score. In that scoring system of APGAR score, how the child is graded, it is graded from 0. It will have a 0 score about something, or score of 1, or score of 2. So now let us see what is the scoring. Now when the child is having a pink color, it is scored as 2. When the child is having heart rate of more than 100 beats per minute, and it is also scored as 2. When the child is having a when the reflex irritability of a child is in crying or in sneezing or in coughing, it will be scored as 2. When the child will be having active movements, it will be scored as 2. And the respiratory, when we will see then the child is having good respiratory efforts and having a strong cry, it will be scored as 2. What will be scored as 0? When the child will be completely pale or blue, no pulses, no response to stimulation, no movements, and no breathing. That will all score to be 0. Now, what is the score of 1? When the child's extremities are blue and the body is pink, that appearance is 1. Score of 1. When the heart rate is below 100, the score is 1. When you stimulate a child, when child just makes a weak cry or makes a fussy face, that is when the child grimaces, it is scored as 1. When the child's arms and legs are flexed, it is called as score as 1. Like when the child is having some kind of flexion, then the child's score is 1. And when the respiration is slow and irregular, or the child is gasping, it is again scored as 1. So here we can see that the highest score, that means the best score that is coming, is 10, and the worst score that any child can have, or the poorest score, is 0. Now, the APGAR scoring, in the APGAR scoring, when the child has 0 score, it is poorest, and when the child is having a score of 10, it is a best score. Now, what does that mean for a child? When the score is from 0 to 3, the child is in critical condition. When the score is from 4 to 6, the child needs some kind of assistance. And when the child is having the score of from 7 to 10, the child is well adapting to life. Now we have to understand one thing, that there is one thing called as extended APGAR score. Now, what is this extended APGAR score? Actually, this extended APGAR score is nothing but when we do APGAR score after 5 minutes of birth and the score comes below 7, we have to do the extended APGAR score. That means after that 5 minutes, we have to perform APGAR score every 5 minutes till 20 minutes. And this will be called as extended APGAR score. So, extended APGAR score is not routinely done. It is only done when the child is having a score of less than 7 at 5 minutes after birth. The extended APGAR score is performed, and it is performed every 5 minutes till 20 minutes. And now, what does this APGAR score or extended APGAR score shows us? The serial score of this APGAR score will help us to know that how well the neonate is responding to the resuscitation effort. So if the child is responding well, and the child's or the newborn's condition is improving, the score will keep on increasing. And if the child is not responding, either the score will decrease or it will stay the same. And that is how we will come to know that and evaluate the newborn's condition. So this is how we will do the APGAR score, and this is how it is used to evaluate the newborn's condition. Now, my reference to today's topic of APGAR score is 10th edition of Ghai from the book of Essential Pediatrics. And you can find this topic of APGAR score on page 120. So go through it, read it once, and I hope that you get a good grasp of this topic. And if you have any doubts, you can put it in comments, and I will try to respond it. And study well, work hard, and nothing is impossible. So thank you for today.